The girl was washing her face and suddenly felt something wrong with her chin. She looked at the mirror and saw that her mouth had turned into a chicken's mouth. The habit also changed at any time when she walked out of the house. She had completely turned into a hen. Her family was so scared that they put her and other hens together. The reason why the girl became like this is because she ate the candy from the house. Half a century has passed. The house has seemed to have become a legend. However, the wheel of fate is always unexpected. In an ordinary day, the boy, Jack, walked into a shop with his grandmother. When walking in the middle of the shopping street full of goods, Jack saw a strange woman behind the shelf. The long gloves she was wearing on her head were extremely unique, delight sweet. Jack was scared by the poisonous snake in his hand and stayed in the same place. Fortunately, at a critical moment, the grandmother shouted at him. When he returned to the shrine, the woman had disappeared. After returning home, Jack told the grandmother about this. The grandmother was convinced and her face was getting darker and darker. She realized that the woman was the legendary witch. Once she was targeted by them, it was difficult to get rid of her. In order to be safe, Grandma contacted the distant relatives and took Jack to the hotel in Alabama overnight. But when they just got in, a group of women dressed up as the next day, Jack went into the empty banquet hall and was about to train the little white dog he had raised. But not long after, the light suddenly went out. The disguised witches swung in. After the hotel manager left, the witches took off their disguises and were about to hold a meeting here. The high-class witch at the top took off her long, half-meter gloves and revealed her strange palm with only 3 fingers. Then she took off her high heels and released only one toe. Under her command, all the witches took off their hairpins and revealed smooth scalp. Jack was shocked. The high-class witch blamed her subordinates for their poor performance, and the children were getting more and more, causing her to lose her appetite. The reason why the witch hates children so much is because for them these human children will emit a smell that makes people unable to bear. So the witches have been hiding in the dark trying to eliminate all the children. When she was angry, a witch suddenly stood up and questioned the high-class witch. Is it unrealistic to eliminate all the children's plans? It's rude to interrupt other people's conversation, but the problem is a good problem. After many years of research, the high-class witch has developed a kind of mutating machine. As long as 1 drop of sugar is added to a candy, it can make the child a mouse in an hour. If you add 3 drops, the mutating machine can be activated instantly. Just when the subordinates were praising the high-class witch, the high-class witch suddenly made everyone quiet. Then she lay on the stage and her nostrils suddenly got bigger. She had already smelled the smell of children in the house. A handful of starch on the stage. Fortunately, Jack was quick and hid in the ventilation duct. But even so, the witch still locked her eyes in the ventilation hole. At this moment, a little fatty suddenly knocked on the door. The witch in the house quickly put on her disguise. The high-class witch gave the little fatty a piece of chocolate with seasoning. Now the little fatty, who is in the mood for food, comes to ask for more. She then changed out of the chocolate. The little fatty was gradually attracted to the middle of the hall. It turned out that the mutating season in the body had begun to start. As the countdown ended, the little fatty began to pull out his body. In this way, Fatty became a mouse. With the order of the high street witch, Fatty became a street mouse. Jack was anxious, but couldn't help him. But at this moment, the little white mouse in his pocket started talking. I'll fetch him. The little white mouse rushed out and pulled Fatty's tail and saved him back to the ventilation pipe. But this also completely exposed Jack's position. The high street witch pulled him out and controlled Jack. In the high street witches, she couldn't open her mouth and just put the mutant medicine in her ears. Not long after, magic began to work. Jack's upper body became a mouse. They were played by the witch in the hole. They were about to be hit by the hammer into the axe. The little white mouse stood up again and bit the witch's finger. It caused her to roll up the hammer and caused a second injury to her finger. 3 little mice ran toward the pipe. Never did they expect the witch's arms to be infinitely long. At the critical moment, they jumped into another pipe. The witch's hand was sealed and caused a third injury. Jack and others escaped. The suspect found out that the little white rat was also a human child named Mary. Before she was punished by the witch, the 3 of them were going to discuss the measures with their grandmother, but as soon as they showed up, they were treated as pests by the cleaning woman. Fortunately, the grandmother just opened the door and the 3 of them escaped. Jack explained to the grandmother that she understood the situation. Now Grandma has a lot of research on medicine. After a while of discussion, they decided to steal a bottle of mutated medicine and give it to Grandma to reverse the development and turn the 3 of them into humans if it succeeds. It can save more children. Jack told himself to go alone to complete this mission. While the witches went out to attend the dinner, Jack went into the house of the witch's mother and followed the balcony to the house of the witch. When the witch suddenly came back when she was about to get the medicine, the witch could only bring the cat back. Because the dinner was not allowed to carry pets, Jack was in a hurry to escape and wanted to get out of the house before the witch noticed. When he was pulled up by the witch made an excuse and said that she accidentally dropped her socks. The witch didn't believe a single symbol. Jack was about to reveal himself. The doorbell of the hall saved his life. The grandma took out the most powerful adult old-school drug she had been keeping and started to make the antidote. However, as the drug turned black, the antidote was not produced. After all, it was too shallow for her to reach. It was not as good as the witch who had lived for thousands of years and developed the antidote in 50 years. Jack hurried to comfort Grandma. As long as he could be with her, even a mouse would be fine. But in order to prevent the witch from harming more sea animals, Jack came up with a plan, which is to put the potato chips into the women's food so that they can eat the food themselves. Jack took half a bottle of potato chips to the kitchen and poured them into the pea soup that the women ordered. During lunch, the women sat neatly in front of the dining table and started to enjoy these pea soups. To confirm the effect, the grandmother also walked into the restaurant, pretending to eat. We expected that the high-class women coincidentally met with the grandfather. The other party immediately recognized that they had met before half a century. The girl who was turned into a chicken was the good friend of the grandmother. The high-level witch put down the soup and came to the grandma to put a lot of flowers, which made a witch behind her suddenly start to pull out the next second into an ugly mouse. Soon the witch who drank the pea soup turned into a mouse one by one, and the scene was in chaos. Grandma left quickly after the plan was successful and came to the high-level witch's room to destroy all the mutants. The high-level witch chased him straight over. He was the only one who didn't drink the pea soup. The grandma was fearless in the face of the witch, who was in a bad mood because the mouse trio has set up a trap with the order. The witch's toes were immediately held by the witch. Jack took the opportunity to hold a bottle of with these things. They can turn the whole world's witch house into a mouse, and not forget to give the black cat kidnapped by the witch house a meal. But with the cruel laughter of the witch house, Grandma took Jack, Fatty, and Mary on a journey to destroy the witch house. Although the three kids can no longer become human but let the children of the world away from the disaster in the end, Fatty and his mother admitted to everyone's company, but his mother obviously could not accept the son to become a mouse. The little fat man could only go home with his grandmother. Mary was an orphan, and she took over the family. From then on, the three children lived happily together with their grandmother. The film The Witch was released in 2020 by the famous director Robert Zemeckis. The role of the witch is the goddess Annie Hesley. With the meticulous design of the scene and special effects, the director created a world of mystery and magical colors for the audience. Although it is a children's story, the witches take off their masks and show a picture of a real face. Can still become a childhood nightmare for many children. At the same time, it is also a warning to the audience to always be vigilant about strange things. Never be fooled by the appearance of his fans. Okay, that's it for today's movie. See you next time.